Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Stumpy's Revivals. Here we are again with our 1950 Ford panel van. Today's objective, we got several objectives. Number one, get the hood off. Oh, look at that, we already got that done. Son of a gun, step number one is over. Step number two, get this motor unbolted. Get this motor ready to get yanked out of here so we can send it off to get rebuilt. It is going to take several months. Most engine builders are several months behind, but that's the way we're going to play it. Thirdly, we're going to pull the tires off. We're going to check the brakes, see what they look like. Are we going to be in a surprise in a good way, a bad way? Is it horrific? Who knows? Then lastly, we're going to check the suspension, see if what's loose, what's not loose, see if the steering, there's always been a complaint of this, of the steering being very loose in this thing, I guess even from the time they got it. And the really cool thing is I got to talk to a couple people that have driven this thing through the years. And we may do a walk around on that little buddy right there. So stay tuned. Who knows what's going to happen. Good afternoon, everybody. So last video we knew this motor was kind of needing rebuilt. So the decision has been made that we are going to go ahead and rebuild this thing. So today we're going to get started on getting this motor out of here so we can get it sent out to get redone. I'm going to try my best to get you guys down in there so you can see what I'm doing, but it's pretty common. We got some bolts here on the top here in the back, midway down. Then we're going to have some on the bottom, the starter, exhaust, stuff like that. So I'm going to try to get you in here the best I can while I'm doing this. It's probably not going to make for the best, but we'll give it everything we got. We'll give it a good go-ahead. So I'm going to get my wrench out, climb up in this big bad thing, see if we can get some bolts broke loose. Good luck to me, right? Nope, that didn't go well. Alright, well, I can see two on the passenger side right here, so we'll see if we can get this one to break loose. I'm pretty sure these are 5/8. Hey, lucky guess for me. There's a reason I probably don't use these wrenches that much anymore, because they are not that great. You can see how it's sliding on there, not really wanting to turn, want to strip out. So I'm going to grab my other wrench that I just had up here with me, but I sat down because I thought I was going to use this one instead, but apparently that was a bad idea. This has got to be the Mondayest Friday ever. Ugh. Alright. New wrench, new way. Coming up. Maybe. Climbing an engine base is for the young. Holy crap. There we go. Let's go ahead and take this spring out of the way, so I can see something bad happening in it, as well as that camera as well. Yeah, yes. Alright. See? New, better wrench. So this one just broke loose. So that's good news. There's one right there. I see why everyone that does these videos complains about doing things one-handed, because this is not fun. It's kind of hard to set this thing up to where it won't fall like it just kind of did a few moments ago, to get the leverage I need to get this stuff out of here. Ooh, hello. I got hooked. Not in a good way. Hey, maybe that'll work. There we go. I can kind of walk around this bad boy. See what I mean? You're gonna keep falling on me. Why are you guys doing that? You're supposed to tell me when you're gonna fall. Oh, I dropped my light too. That's great. Alright, so this is going as planned. So we got two broke loose. So I guess now there's one right there we'll get to. Then the other ones are probably going to have to be from the bottom, be my guess. Then I got a couple linkages right down here in my way. Oh yeah, plenty of room to... Actually, I guess really only the top two I got to worry about here, and the rest we can jack this thing up in the air and get to it. So I called around. When I say called around, I mean called one place. It's not too far from me, and to rebuild this particular motor, they're saying $4,000 to $5,000. I assume that's average for these things. I don't know. I'll be honest, I've never actually sent a motor out to get rebuilt. And I know everything these days costs a lot more than it used to. So I guess it really doesn't surprise me for it to be that kind of price. But what we're going to work on this weekend is getting this motor out of here. And this is the rod that does your fuel pump. So all it does is right on the camshaft, that hole down in there, and it just kind of goes up and down and pumps the fuel pump. And I'll show you the fuel pump here in a little bit. I've already got it sitting to the side. So if any of you guys have had flathead V8s done, comment, let me know how much you had to pay to get it rebuilt, assuming the fact that you did get it rebuilt and not just, you know, do it, which I know we could do it ourselves. That's not the issue. You got to remember, this is not my van, I guess we'll call it. Panel van, it's got F1 badges on it, but it's a 50 Ford panel van, so we got that going for us. But anyways, it's part of our Firemen's Association. We voted on it at our last meeting, so not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before. I don't even know what the date is today, to be honest with you. It's March 21st, 22nd. I don't even know right now. But anyways, the vote was taken on it that they approved to spend the money to get this rebuilt. And I think in the last video I mentioned about our 42 Ford Seagrace fire truck that we got back in the 90s and had completely redone to make it look like new again. Now when it was brought back in the 90s, I guess it looked about like this thing does. A little bit rough around the edges, but overall, you know, good bones. Well, there she is. So we were storing her somewhere else, and we got her back over here. Really, we just store it. We do our Christmas party every year here. We do it here. So we need all this area to set up tables, and because there's a lot of us that are volunteers, and we do a lot of, you know, our big thing is like the third week of every June. This year is like the 18th to the 21st, I think, of June. We do what they call our Firemen's Festival. So this year is the 50th year that the volunteer department for us, association, I can't even talk now. This is our 50th year holding this event, and before that, it was held by the actual fire department itself here in town. But this is our 50th year, and then next year will be the official 50th anniversary of the Firemen's Festival. It was called something else before we took it over. In our first year, it was the next year that we started doing it. So that's why we started one year, then the next year would be the 50th for the festival itself versus our 50th. But here in a little bit, once I get down out of here, I'm going to get these 3 bolts out, get back down, and then we're going to do a walk around on this fire truck real quick and show it to you. She's really cool. It also has a Ford Flathead V8 in it, but a much earlier generation. But it got sent out, got completely rebuilt. But before I get too distracted, let's get these bolts out of here. Then we'll go do a walk around on that big lug. There's just a few turns of the wrench and I can kind of get in there with my fingies. And I got big fingies. Not really that long of a bolt, surprisingly. Gotta take my glove off to get these other 2. This motor looks so small in here, but yet it sits so far back in the firewall that not easy to get your big meaty paws on it. Let's try my other hand. You notice how one hand bends real good one way. Oh, there goes that light again. Bends real good one way, but not good the other. If that makes sense to you. See what I mean? Also, once we get the starter off this thing, we're gonna. So it'll turn over, it'll spin, but the Bendix doesn't. I think what I'll need is the Bendix would probably pull in, I believe, instead of pushing out. It would kind of just be on threads and kind of pull itself in when you turn it over. So it spins, it just doesn't rotate the engine. Even after getting the engine itself freed up, it still is not just spins in itself. It doesn't do anything to help us as far as that goes. Well, I'll tell you what, when you got big feet, while trying to walk around in an engine bay is just not for the faint of heart. I'm trying to keep you guys from getting dizzy, but believe me, I'm kind of getting dizzy too. What is that cable? We're going to push that out of our way. If for no other reason, just to get this one last bolt out. Then there's one screw right there I got to take out. Assume that's for the oil pressure sensor, be my guess. Because there's one on each side of the head. This is not cooperating with me today. I have been working all day, so kind of worn out a little bit. But that's nor here nor there. This is really hard to do with one hand. I'm just not having a good time today, am I? I don't know if the brake line looks like it's been replaced before or if it's just me standing on it. Probably me standing on it. But there's that screw I was talking about. Right on this right here I got to take out. I can do that though without being in the engine compartment. I think the only thing I'm really not looking forward to is the exhaust bolts. They don't look like they're going to be a really fun time. Looking forward to getting down here and getting this out of here at some point before midnight maybe. So I can show you guys our fire truck. I'm not going to start it up or nothing, but we will do a walk around on it so you guys can see that thing in all its glory. It don't have a name like this thing does. I think I remember from the last video I named this thing Mater. So that's this thing's official name. Everyone seemed to agree to that, so that's good. I know it don't look like Mater from the Cars movies and all that. I know it's not the same truck, but I don't really care. It's what I want to call it. So that's what I'm going to call it. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Their siren's going off now. Must be on a run. I shouldn't even have just said that. That's like a duh moment. They wouldn't be going, those sirens wouldn't be going off if they weren't on a run. Oh, look, we got it. Oh, crap. Yeah, it went to the ground, so we're safe. All right, so we got these 3 bolts we can get from the top. Get that screw out. Then we can mosey on down to the bottom. Let's see if I can get out of there. Found it. It just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? Whoa. All right, so we're out. So let's walk around this fire truck. like I promised we would. We'll start here in the back. Got 2 hose reels up there. More hose back here. This thing's really neat. I don't know who restored it or anything like that. It was before I became a volunteer. But it's really nice and clean. The inside's real clean too. Smells really nice inside here too. Pretty nice job. Whoever did rebuild it did a good job on it, I feel. And all the painting and stuff is period correct. And more sirens going off. The only thing I do notice, we're missing a passenger side wiper blade. And each side has these 2 holes. I assume it's for a particular badge of some sort, but I don't know what that badge is. Got our ladders over here. A couple spanner wrenches. Axes. Nice chrome ends on them. But everything's pretty much period correct on this. Even the tires, the bias plies. I just like to know what those badges are for. I don't know if they would say Seagraves, which I don't know if there's enough room in here to put that on there, or it just said Ford, or I know on the van it says F1, and well, the F1's, I think it's like right here or thereabouts. But I really like how this hood opens too, is where this ring is. You just pull out, pull up, and then you have your release under there, and then up she goes. Look at that stuff. No flexi hoses. Everything under here is period correct. The old Ford flathead V8. I told you talking is an issue today. But yeah, she's very clean. She starts right up. We start it up probably about once a month with no issues. Oh, and it is still running the 6-volt battery system. So it was not ever converted over to 12 volts, still running 6 volt. Shut that, clamp that back down, and it's back to being shut again. Alright, so we're going to get this thing up in the air. I'm going to get that screw out first, then we're going to get this thing up in the air, and we'll get busy underneath, and I'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. So here's what we got. I got the front 2 motor mount bolts out. There's one on this water pump and one on that one. Both of those are out. They both got cotter pins in them. Got all those out of there. So let's go down below and take a look. I am confused about one thing underneath, but I'll show you guys that here once we get underneath of there. For a second, you guys are going to have to look at the ceiling. Oh, also, if you look at the spacing on my jack stands, this is just luck, but my creeper literally fits right in between those 2 jack stands. And I don't know how I did that, but somehow I did. So here we go. We're going to the back of the vehicle, or underneath. So there's the holes where the front motor mounts were, right there and right over here somewhere. Already got my exhaust out, which, believe it or not, all these bolts came right out. It was unbelievable to me. I never thought it would stand a chance of that, but somehow it did. So we're going to continue moving on back here. I got all my perimeter bolts out. That needs to come out for the motor all the way around. A bunch of these little, like 13 or a half inch bolts that go in these smaller holes, and then the top ones were 5/8 on what the 5 or 6 up there, and then all these little guys. And then the starter is really weird. Like, it had another bolt right up in here for the oil pan right there. I think that was holding it in place, so we got that bolt out, no problem. But the starter itself does not want to like come out. Like, when you move it, this whole plate moves. So I don't know if it's just seized right there, which is a very good possibility. So I'm going to spray this down when I leave here, try to get both sides of it spread apart a little bit, try to get a little bit up in there, and then when I come back tomorrow, try to get it. And I'm going to research it tonight to make sure you ain't got to like twist it or anything like that to get it out, but I don't think you do. I think it's just stuck in there at the moment. But all the bolts are out. The starter cable is disconnected from the starter. The only spring I had to take off is one of these springs for my brake pedal. So it was just hooked in like right up over here. So right between like these two bolts. So we got that out of here. So pretty much we're ready. All I've got to do is research this starter tonight. And you know, while we're back here, while we're under here, you can clearly see that, come on now, there is some rust and stuff on the frame and the floorboards, but it's less, everything's nice and solid. It's just a little bit of scaly stuff. It could easily be cleaned up and, you know, painted and be ready to go there. So everything overall on this thing, for as long as this thing sat as old as it is, not real bad. I will have to do like a makeshift gas tank or like a boat tank or something for now, until this thing smells. I wish these cameras had smell-o-vision, because it'd be literally the worst smelling thing, one of the worst smelling things I've ever smelled. Oh, look at that, there's a drain plug on that. So you can probably drain what gas is in it, if there's any in it. Like I said, it smells absolutely horrible. That's a pretty long tank for what it is. So we're going to mess with that and figure all that out. But while this motor is out getting rebuilt, and I just called the guy before I got started doing this today, so I can drop it off anytime I want. And gosh, I just really like the front end of that. I can drop it off anytime I want. And, you know, he said they're about 6 months out, so it wouldn't be till later this year we get the motor back. However, in the meantime, now my clutch pedal or my brake pedal does go to the floor, but it does come back up. So I think the best approach to go with that is we're going to pull the tires off. We can inspect that, see what we need. At best case scenario, you know, we're going to need wheel cylinders and rubber hoses. Master cylinder, you know, same thing on the back. The parking brake does work on this surprisingly. So we got that part going for us. So in the interim of this motor being out and getting rebuilt, we can look at the brakes, see what they need, get another list of price compiled with parts that we need for the braking system, drop that fuel tank out, see if there's someone that can flush it out, clean it out or something to make it usable. All that while that motor is getting rebuilt, at least get those prices together. So even though this is going to be down for quite a while at this point, there's still a lot we can do to get it ready for when the motor does come back. We, in theory, be able to put the motor in and just be ready to go. I did look at the clutch underneath. The clutch pedal does work, but if it goes to the floor, it stays at the floor unless you pull it back up with your hand. So I was looking at it underneath, and I thought maybe there was missing a spring. It just looks like there's a bunch of pivot points that has Zerk fittings on them. So I figure if I bring my grease gun down and lube those up, possibly that'll help. If not, we may have to disassemble it, clean everything up, and check that out and see if we can get that to work for us that way. But as it stands now for tonight, all my bolts are out. Just got to figure out what's going on with that starter. And I have zero reception here. All this metal and insulation here in the building, we don't pick much up in the way of reception. I did just pick this engine hoist up for pretty cheap. Bought it brand new. It was like $150. So it's pretty sturdy. Folds up. So when I bought a leveler as well. Brought my jump pack. So if we get the starter out, we can clean it up too tomorrow and see if we can get it to function properly. If not, we'll be able to have to add that to our price of everything else we're going to need. And that's not even getting into the wiring of this thing. I mean, I guess it could be worse, but it's really old. And I don't know if I can convince them to swap it over to a 12 volt system from a 6 volt, or if we're going to have to keep it 6 volt. I don't know the answers to that yet. And put into a 12-volt system really isn't that difficult to do. It's more just replacing the lights. You got to do a 12-volt coil, starter solenoid, stuff like that. And there's another solenoid over there, which I'm not even too sure what the heck that solenoid does. It looks just like that one, but I don't know what that one's for specifically. So, and I don't know what I want to be able to find on this thing. Maybe it was something set up for the light or something on the top, or the horn. I don't know. Possibly the horn, if anything. But yeah, so tomorrow we'll get this thing out of here. We're going to get it all back together, get all the bolts back in it, and maybe we'll do a little bit better tour on the inside of it in the back, because I never really got to show you all the stuff that's in there. But we'll tackle that tomorrow. But as far as now, we're about as far as we can go right now until I figure out that starter. Go home, get cleaned up. It'll be dinner time here in about an hour or so. And I only live like a mile or so away from here. So not that big a deal as far as that goes. But I'm going to lock it down, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. And we will finish this part of the project. And we'll talk more tomorrow about what we're going to do after that. I already kind of brought it up, but I'm trying to bunch this. I don't want to do like 50 different videos. So I want to, a few I'd be okay with. But tomorrow we'll talk about that. And hopefully this video, just using this one camera, works out much better than trying to use multiples. And the other ones, the SD cards were junk in. So nothing even recorded. So there's a lot of stuff you missed that you didn't get to see on the initial look at this thing, tearing it down, seeing what was going on. It's just a mess. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Probably once we get the motor out, we'll talk about that stuff and what's coming up next as far as this goes. I'd love to be able to do a different video in between everything, or somewhere in there of another video, which I do have another one that we can do. I just got to get with my buddy, and it's one for him. And the car hasn't ran in 3, 4, 5 years. And I was out there once, fooled around a little bit with it, but we didn't record anything. We go back out to that one, which his house is in between here and my house, so it's only about a half mile away. So it's even easier. So we'll go mess with that. I'm pretty sure it's got either a bad relay or broken wire somewhere, but we'll look at that. Maybe doing that one here. I'm just waiting for a few more weeks for it to warm up a little bit more. We're getting to where we're in the 40s and low 50s fairly consistently here in Ohio, central Ohio area, where I'm just east of Columbus. So it's getting better. We're still in March, so it's still May. When May comes around, that'll be when it starts to really noticing a warm up. But anyways, I'm going to shut it down today. We'll come back tomorrow, and I did promise you one more thing before I went. Look at this disaster of a fuel pump. So there's my sediment bowl. It looks horrible. Looked pretty easy to rebuild one of these though. So that's something else we'll have to tackle. No, I'm not too concerned about it at this particular moment in time. But that rod I was showing you that moves up and down, this right here, that's what it rides on. So that's what it pushes up and down on this fuel pump. So we'll tackle that at a later date. And I don't even know if that sediment pool's even going to come loose. I'm sure. I mean, it's got a chance, don't it? Nope, not a chance. But we'll spray it down, figure it out as we go. But I want to go spray down that starter and let it soak overnight. And then we'll catch up again tomorrow and see where we go from there. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the next day. All you guys that were flathead guys and know these starters and how they come out, we're probably cussing at the screen or the TV or whatever you're maybe watching this on yesterday when I was trying to figure out how the starter came out. So I said I was going to do some research when I got home last night, and I did. Come to find out, the 2 bolts in the end are the ones you take out. That starter goes all the way through the back side, but you can pull it out by taking those 2 screws out, or 2 bolts out, I mean. So I'm going to set you guys up underneath it here as best I can. I'm going to go underneath the front with that creeper, and we're going to try to see. Actually, I'm going to set you guys up probably right here, so you can kind of maybe see a little bit. Oh yeah, there's a starter right there. Pull you back a little bit there. That'll probably work for all intents and purposes. So I'm going to get underneath here. I got some sockets and stuff sitting next to me, so I know what I can get. And we're going to get on the creeper, get underneath here, and see what kind of stupid things we can do today. I mean stupid things by, educational things only. Alright, so there's the 2 bolts. Was there someplace else I could set that camera up to make it work for you, but unfortunately there's not. So just bear with me. So those are 2 bolts right there, right on the end. They look to be, I don't know, 3/8 potentially? I don't know, I'm just going to guess. I can't really see this stuff right now. That's too big. Big surprise. Try a couple down. Hey, you know it. Fits perfect. Pretty good for not being able to see. Alright. Alright, this creeper is not being friendly today. Not like it was yesterday. There we go. Alright. I'm not a big creeper guy. Like, I'm used to having racks at work, stuff like that, so doing this stuff on the ground is really not fun. But you make do with what you got. I've already got my starter wire off, or starter cable off, so that's done. So once we get these 2 bolts out, we should, in theory, be able to pull this starter out of here finally. Because that's as far as that comes, I guess. That one wasn't even that tight. Oh, look at that thing just ready to come out of there. Oh yeah, like a glove, like the gloves I got on. And it looks like I may just be able to pull this thing like straight through the front here. It says you got to hold it at like a certain angle to get it to come out. And all that good stuff. Well, there it is. There it is. Hey, we got a starter out, guys. Alright. So that concludes that. That didn't take but a few moments. Alright, well, I'm still on the creeper. We'll get back underneath here if I don't fall on my face. Yeah, I know I'm on the creeper. And we're going to check this front end out real quick. See if there's what's loose, what's not loose, what's good, what's bad. They always complained, I guess, I've talked to a couple of people that actually used to drive this thing, and apparently they used to complain about how loose the steering was all the time. So we'll get underneath here and shake this down real quick. We'll go drop the light. I'm glad this light's like as good as it is, because otherwise it'd have been done already. Pretty tight that side. I mean, nothing to freak out about anyways. We'll go over and check this side. here and check it. Jesus Christmas. Maybe a little bit of play in the wheel bearing, but nothing too terrible. Yeah, well, same thing over here on this other side. Pretty good overall. I was expecting a whole lot worse, by the way. They were talking, but it may be in the gearbox or something of that nature. And I seem like any gearbox. It'd be adjustable, but maybe on the bottom. Yeah, we'll look into that, but overall front end's pretty decent. So that's good news. So then we're kind of done for the moment of being underneath the vehicle, which is a good sign. So I think what we're going to do now, before I let this front end on the ground, probably be a really good idea to just go ahead and see if we can get a look at the brakes and kind of see what they look like. And kind of the way I'm going to kind of judge this is whatever the one is, I'm going to assume all four are going to be the same. I'm assuming we're going to need everything. Shoes, hardware, adjusters, wheel cylinders, rubber hoses, and I already know we're going to have to do lines and a master cylinder. So we'll get this one popped open here. I'm going to change from my little handheld deal, kind of a neat little deal for what it is, and go to this little guy right here, where now you're actually going to be on a tripod. I'm trying to do this as smooth as I can so it's like not like overly shaky and stuff like that. But I'll pull you back to here and I can angle it down a little bit. There we go. And bring you in a little bit closer. How about those apples? Well, with almost thinking I know what I'm doing. But we know that ain't true. Well, that don't help. I don't know what I would ever do if I had the right side of everything. Especially on the first try. That would only make too much sense. Alright, let's see what we got in our bag here. Second one's a fit. Unless you don't know, they're 13/16. Not the recorder. Look at that big nasty. Don't compare. So are these? Oh well, let's start as the original. Wow. You guys want to take your bets on if these are just gonna, drums just gonna come off, or are we gonna fight? Place your bets. So you have two options, yes and no. Or I guess we should say stuck and not stuck. Definitely could use some lubrication on the situation. Once we get this looked at, we'll let her on the ground finally, and no way. You believe that crap? It literally just slid right out of there. Actually, the shoes, everything looked pretty good. It's not too bad at all. That wheel center's got some crusties in them, so it's definitely going to need those and hoses. All right. Sure. Definitely needs some grease. It's pretty low. What's the drum look like? Look at that. Looks pretty good. Definitely lacks grease. Oh, it's even got the adjuster cut out where you can adjust the brakes. That's mighty nice of them. So somewhere down the road, this thing has definitely been gone through. And now it's being gone through by us. There we go. Yes, those bearings are pretty dry. They look all right though. I don't see any pitting in them. So that's good news. Alright, so we'll get this side back together, and this is kind of turned into, I believe we're just going to end up checking. You know what we are going to do? We're going to tighten this back down, get it all back together, and I'm going to recheck what little bit of slop I had in this front end, as I believe it was just from the wheel bearings. So this will be a good time to tighten this down just a little bit, and not being lubed very well kind of would make me think I could definitely be part of it. So we'll get this tightened back down. Look, I must have backed it off just right. What side was that on? Okay, we had that I don't know how they got turned around, but somehow it did. That's all right. Oh, no, wait, that was right, wasn't it? Whoopsie. My bad. Oh, nothing's ever fun. All right, that side's back on. Get this tire back on. I figured it was a good idea to do this while I still had it up in the air before I let it down, so I got to go up and down, up and down, up and down. Make things go a little bit faster, hopefully. In this video, obviously we're doing pulling the engine out. It is all ready to come out. Now that starter's out anyways. That's the big goal. But I figure, hey, let's go ahead, while the front end's up in the air, check the brakes, check the suspension before we let it down. So we get this all done in this video. And the next video probably won't come out until we get the engine back. But in the meantime, I'll probably have done the brakes and filmed it. Just combine them all into one video, putting the motor, new motor in, stuff like that. And hopefully the next video, we'll be able to get the engine in, get it running, we can have all this stuff done, and also maybe she'll look a little bit shinier than what she does. It's my hope anyways. Oh yeah, tighten that right up. A little bit of movement there. Don't know if I'm going to be able to see what that is or not. I'll look real quick. Sometimes it's hard when you're laying on the ground and just shake stuff down. And Alright, it's coming from over there. Okay, right on this side. Alright, so that's that side. We're doing pretty good today. We just got started. Alright, on this side. Hey, once we get this one checked out, we're ready to set this thing on the ground, get this motor out of here. Get a couple things out of the way now. Almost forgot my impact. That'd have been all bad. The other thing I'm going to do too, when we get this wheel off, I'm going to bag and tag these bolts that you see laying all around. Now it's a good time to gather a lot of these up because they're right in front of my face. All the washers, bolts, part of the exhaust gasket, more washers and bolts. Keep all this stuff together. And the bolts I took out that's sitting on top of the engine, we'll get those out too. All right. Oops. If anyone ever asked me, hey man, how do you like those these Cyclops lights? This is actually named a Cyclops. It's a cheap knockoff, but they work great. Battery lasts a while in them. I got one here, and then I got one at work as well. And they do a great job. So this toolkit I got that I'm using, aside from my like impact and stuff, my DeWalt, all this stuff I got from that Jungle website. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Just as clean as the other side. Shoes are good. Plenty of meat left on them. See if I can get in there to look at that. Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, she's got some crusties. I mean, I've seen much worse, but it's not like I'm gonna sit here and trust that. There's no reason to. Safety don't always have to be first on some things, but when it comes to brakes, even though this is a 3-speed, 3 on the tree, it's not you want to. It's even got a good adjustment on it. There we go. It's not something you really want to mess around with. They're pretty important piece of the puzzle of running, driving, and stopping. Stopping being pretty highly ranked in the things that need to be done or they need to happen. Even for those of us experienced drivers. I think most of us experienced drivers, kind of what makes you an experienced driver is driving a car and then you have a brake line blow. You'll pucker up real fast. I don't mean with your lips either. It'll be a sobering experience. Assuming you're already sober, it will be even more sobering. Not condoning drinking and driving. Never do that. Bad, bad, bad. Don't worry guys, it's just my phone. We're not under attack. Come on now. Why can't you be like the other side and just work? Alright, we're going extreme. Don't want to, but it's forcing my hand. I probably shouldn't. Yep, we are. Nailed it. All right, guys, so I'm going to get this other tire back on, get all these nuts and bolts bagged up, and get the car on the ground, or van on the ground. And then I'll be ready to pull this motor out. As soon as I get it back on the ground, I will hook you guys back in here, and we'll get this motor out of here. All right, we're back. So I went to hook up the engine hoist to this, and literally I just pumped it up just enough to get the pressure off these mounts here. And literally, as I did that, the whole thing just swung forward. Like I've never seen a single engine in my time on this planet ever come out that easily. Which does raise a concern that we can almost guarantee it won't go back in that easy, but that's for a different video on a different day on a different time. But I also put a ratchet strap underneath here, if you can see it, to hold that transmission up. So I was thinking ahead on this one. Usually I don't, but here we are. So we got the motor out. I got it all reassembled. And now she's ready to go off and get rebuilt. So we got the brakes looked at. Got the engine out. We looked at the suspension. We know there's a few things we need, but nothing catastrophic. So the next video, I'll probably get brake stuff for it, get that done. I'll probably film it, but won't post a video until we get the engine back and get it going, running, and stuff like that. And that'll be the third and should be final video. And also in the meantime of that all happening, I also plan on getting this thing rolled out back, and we're going to give it a good wash, and then we're going to do a Comet wash with it, see if we can bring back any kind of better color. I don't think this thing was ever a bright red. I really don't have any pictures to know what it really did look like from back in the day. So I'm really not too sure what, I just don't think it was that bright of a red, not like the fire truck is, or like most any other fire truck. But yeah, so appreciate you guys watching today. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, comment, all those good things. Stumpy's Revivals here on YouTube. We'll catch you in the next video.